I'm a self-promoter. I'm a very good-looking guy. I'm an idol to some. I'm a brainless idiot. I'm your daddy. I'm a psychopath. I'm unstable. I'm a curmudgeon's curmudgeon. I'm an animal. I'm a tyrant. I'm a physical peon. I'm a man. I'm incompetent with women. I'm one of the great Casanovas of all time. I'm a hypocrite. I'm a coward. I'm a nut job.
Welcome to Termini Crashes Out, an NBA podcast with Justin Termini, brought to you by DCLA. And now it's time for Termini to crash out.
All right, it's time for Termini to crash out, and I'm very interested to see what the turnout is going to be for today's show, because you guys have turned out a ton over the course of the last couple of days. But the last couple of days, we've had great games to break down. Both the games here today, absolutely brutal. So I am interested to see if I do shows after games that aren't very good, whether we'll still get a lot of people joining. If it's not the case where you guys aren't going to join after really bad games, then maybe on some nights where the games stink, we're not going to do the shows. Because honestly, I would have went to bed like 20 minutes ago. During the postseason especially, I'm always trying to catch a couple of different pockets where I can get some extra sleep, because I'm watching the games every single night. So if I can get to bed like an hour earlier, then I'll take advantage of that, at least in the past, but not doing these post-game shows. So I am interested to see when the games stink like they did today, if you guys will still show up. But Detroit gets the 98-83 win here earlier today to even up their series with Orlando. And then OKC, as expected, blows out Phoenix 120-107. The game not even that close. Really, it was a massive comeback after Phoenix fell behind by 26, just to make the score look a little bit more respectable at the end. And, you know, at least they got the under there. I think they were favored by 17.5 was OKC. So they covered the spread. Does Phoenix in the game, even though it was a blowout, was not as bad as Vegas thought it would be. Now, while both games stunk, we potentially here got a major story, and that's the hamstring of Jalen Williams, right? So prior to hurting the hamstring there for Jalen Williams, the talk was that I was probably going to lead off with Detroit and Orlando, because I was anticipating that game a lot more than this one. But the good news is that this cost him 26 games earlier this year. It was the opposite hamstring. So I think it was the right hamstring earlier in the year. With this, it's the left hamstring. So it's the opposite hamstring to which cost him 26 games earlier this year. And prior to the injury, I was about to break, so it's funny because prior to the injury, I was about to jump on and talk about everything is breaking right for Oklahoma City right now, right? You got the injury to Wembanyama, San Antonio, Minnesota, Denver, who I think are the next three best teams in the Western Conference, are all on the other side of the bracket. Then, Lakers, Houston, you're going to play the winner of that series next. And neither one of those teams is great. Peyton Watson is hurt for the Nuggets. Aaron Gordon looks like he's banged up again. The knee of Anthony Edwards doesn't look like it's 100%. Honestly, it's one of the easier paths to a finals that I've seen in quite some time. I was thinking that OKC in the first two rounds be lucky if they played more than 10 games. I think they'll play 9 or 10 games. I think that's how easy they have it till the conference finals. But now this potential injury to Jalen Williams changes everything. And, again, I thought Williams, like the theme, when I talked Thunder today, prior to this injury for Jalen Williams, I was going to hop on and point out how good he looked in the first half. I mean, first half for Jalen Williams, he had 19 points on 7 of 8 from the floor in just 17 minutes. That's as good as Jalen Williams has looked all year. But now, of course, he's potentially hurt. And, the good news is, like I said, OKC is used to playing without him all season long, and they still won 64 games. Now, again, some of those are coming against lesser opponents. In the postseason, you're only going to play really good teams unless you play Houston next round. Then you're playing a team that's not very good. But the point is is they're accustomed to playing without him because they've done so much of it this year. And they actually played better when Jalen Williams didn't play this season. I looked it up just prior to hopping on the air. They're 39-10 in the 49 games he missed this year. They're 25-8 with him. So they actually played at a higher level from a wins-loss perspective without Jalen Williams than they did with Jalen Williams this year. Now, I don't think anybody thinks or anticipates they're a better team without Jalen Williams, but at least that walks you off the ledge a little bit here if you're a Thunder fan. That's the good news. And the good news is also you can beat Phoenix, and you will beat Phoenix even without Jalen Williams. You will beat the Lakers next round or the Rockets if they somehow recover from the 2-0 series deficit. You will beat those teams without Jalen Williams. So you don't need Jalen Williams until the conference finals against Minnesota, Denver, or San Antonio. So it doesn't completely ruin your chances. Even if it is serious, like any other team, they lose their second best player, it's lights out. Think about Minnesota. Minnesota loses Julius Randle. If you think he's their second best player, Jaden McDaniels, Rudy Gobert, whoever you think their second best player is, they lose him, their title hopes are over. Denver loses Jamal Murray, it's all over. San Antonio loses De'Aaron Fox, as good as they are, it's all over. Any other team loses their second best player, they have zero shot at an NBA championship. Oklahoma City, their shot gets a lot harder, and they probably don't win without Jalen Williams, but they still could win without Jalen Williams. That's how deep Oklahoma City is they still potentially could win without him. And that wasn't really the only scare they got earlier today as well. If you're a Thunder fan, and he was still manipulating it at the end, even after that hard foul from Dylan Brooks, but SGA hurt his offhand when he went down and hurt his fingers. Now, it's crazy to say that he got hurt because then he went on for like 35-plus points here in order to get the win. But initially, you got a little bit concerned about that. Then the more major injury is that to Jalen Williams. So that is topic number one here. We'll wait over the next 24 to 48 hours how serious this is. And again, the good news is, even if it's not serious, and let's hope it's not serious, I'm not rooting necessarily for Oklahoma City to go back-to-back, but I want them fully healthy. I want them to get knocked off legitimately. If it's not serious, then they could say, let's be cautious. Because again, we could beat Phoenix without Jalen Williams. We could beat next round Houston or LA without him, just based off, how weak those opponents are and how talented we are. So they're going to take a conservative approach with him, whereas other teams can't necessarily do that. Like Denver, Peyton Watson's been ruled out of Game 3 as he's dealing with his own hamstring injury. But as soon as Peyton Watson is available, they need to push the envelope and bring him back. They can't be conservative. Oklahoma City can be conservative. Now, as for Phoenix, again, they only lost by 13. The line was 17.5. So I guess they beat Vegas, even though they didn't meet the Thunder. And I'm not going to get on Phoenix's case. I mean, there's just too much of a differential in talent. All I'm looking for from Phoenix in this series, did you play hard? And they're playing hard. OKC's too good. They have absolutely no shot, especially without their starting center in Mark Williams. They didn't have a shot with Mark Williams. Never mind without him. But this Suns team is much easier to respect than the KD teams of the last couple of years, who last year didn't even make the postseason. The year before, they just rolled over and quit in the first round against Minnesota. They got swept. And they're likely to get swept here again, regardless of whether Jalen Williams plays or not. But at least they're going down swinging. At least this is a team that, gives you the effort. They play hard. You can be proud of. And I also won't even get on Devin Booker's case. And I understand that the numbers have dipped here over the course of the last couple of years. He hasn't won a postseason game since 2023. He's supposed to be a major star. He did not play well here later tonight or earlier this evening. But I can't crush him here. I mean, even as they pointed out in the broadcast. All right, Alex Caruso's guarding you all night. He sits. Then Lou Dort's guarding you. Then Cason Wallace is guarding you. He's got 3 guys defending him that are all capable of making all NBA defense first team. Never mind Chet backing all those guys up to protect the rim. And he got Booker there one time after Booker got a deflection. He went back up and Chet blocked it when it looked like he had an easy layup. And Chet was all over the blocks here today. So the point is, yeah, it's been a down season for Devin Booker. Booker wasn't great tonight. He wasn't great in game one. But how are you going to kill him specifically for this game? The defense he's facing is just too much. So that's the Suns and the Thunder game. I didn't even think it was going to be a topic really, other than, hey, Phoenix, nice try. Oklahoma City did what they're supposed to do. But the Jalen Williams thing completely changes the trajectory. And even on the show tomorrow, that now is likely to lead, even overshadowing what we saw in Detroit earlier today. And again, as I mentioned, Detroit was going to be the lead. And again, I appreciate you guys chiming in here and making the comments in the public chat. I go back and I read them at the end, and then I'm responding to everybody that's over there on YouTube. Hopefully we can continue to grow this thing. Post games here for the next couple of weeks. After that, we'll do some long form interviews. We'll do some interviews with legends, maybe some trivia here if I can figure out how to take telephone calls. We'll give away some gifts. So I appreciate you stopping by. And again, trying a post-game show out here, even though the games weren't great. But you do have major news there with Jalen Williams. Now, in regards to Pistons Magic, that game started out awesome, right? The start of that game was great, the first half. It was physical. It was intense. Nobody could hit a shot outside of Jalen Suggs. Jalen Suggs started off on fire there in the first half and kept Orlando in it. I mean, we're tied at the half, 46. I thought we were going to have another classic game. Then in the third quarter, the Pistons did what the Pistons were supposed to do. I mean, think about it. The Pistons are a 1 seed facing an 8 seed. The Pistons are a 60-win team. The Pistons have a top 5 MVP candidate. I voted him 5th in Cade Cunningham. They've got another All-NBA guy, at least on my list, in Jalen Duren. I put Jalen Duren 3rd team All-NBA. So what they did in the third quarter is what they're supposed to do. They look like a title contender. And they looked like they were facing an 8th seed. And they looked like they had an MVP candidate. And they went on to get the 98-83 win. Here's what they did in the third quarter. They outscored the Magic in the third quarter 38-16. They pushed the lead there to 27 at one point, including a 30-3 run. I think it was 30-3 when I checked to start the third quarter. And it was just super well balanced. Like Tobias Harris, who was 5 of 15 in game one, Jalen Duren, who did nothing in game one, Duncan Robinson, Javonte Green. They had all 4 of those guys had 6 points. 6 points exactly. It's not like, you had one guy like Duncan Robinson got hot. He hit 7 threes. He scored 21 points in the quarter. You had 4 guys with 6 points. You had Asard Thompson with 5. You had Cade with 5. Including 7 assists alone in the third quarter. 7 assists in the third quarter alone. He was just brilliant in that quarter, setting up his teammates, high level of defense, scoring when needed, involving everybody. And yeah, he turned the ball over a little bit too much. I think it was 6 on the night last time I checked, and I should have went back and double checked before I hit the air. But I think he had 6 turnovers tonight. That's the only thing he did wrong. But other than that, he looked like a top MVP candidate should when his team's back is against the wall. Because he had a ton of pressure on him heading into this game. That's the most pressure Cade has ever faced in his career. Maybe you could make the argument they're losing 21, 22, 23 consecutive games a couple of years ago. There was a lot of pressure there, not to be embarrassed. But really, last night was the first time in his career you had all these expectations, back is against the wall. He had to come out and he had to play an awesome game or he was going to get crushed and face a ton of criticism on all the talk shows the next day, including probably from Eddie and myself. So good for Cade Cunningham for coming through. The question today was, how is Cade going to respond in the biggest game of his career? Cade passed that test in flying colors. So that is a really good sign. Not that he was bad in game one. I mean, he had 39 points on 13 of 27. But as the criticism was, the same thing you kind of get with Jalen Brunson every now and again, is he took 27 shots in game one. In this one, he only took 19 shots. He had 11 assists. He did a really good job of involving everybody else. Hopefully that's something that continues. And as far as Detroit's defense goes, I mean, that looked like it was straight out of 2004, right? When you had guys like Ben Wallace and Tayshaun Prince And Orlando's not a good offensive team. But tonight, they made the Magic look like the Rockets offense. And I've been killing the Rockets offense, and I say that facetiously as a little shot at Ime Udoka and Kevin Durant. The Rockets offense is horrible. That's what Orlando's looked like tonight. Outside of Jalen Suggs in the first half, nobody on the Orlando core could get anything going. I mean, Banchero was 7 of 17. Wagner was 4 of 11. Wendell Carter was 1 of 6. Desmond Bane was 2 of 11. And we had Desmond Bane on the show a couple of days ago, Eddie and myself, 4 to 7 Eastern time, in case you're picking up this program. Turbity Crashes out on YouTube. You're not familiar with what I do. 9 to 5, essentially, and that's my show, Eddie Johnson, 4 to 7 Eastern time, Sirius XM NBA Radio. We just had Desmond Bane on a couple of days ago, and, great interview. Go back and listen on the Sirius XM app if you have access. But that's a really tough matchup for Desmond Bane. I'm not sure how much better it can get. Again, he was 2 of 11. He's got a Sar Thompson. Like, they could have put a Sar Thompson on any Magic. They could have put him on Banchero. They could have put him on Wagner. They chose to put him on Bane. I'm sure Bane's not happy about that because he is doing a number on Desmond Bane. It's just going to be a really tough series for Bane if he's got Thompson up in his grill the entire series. And the next game is going to be fun to watch, right? Because this series switches to Orlando. Both teams are physical. Whoever gets a 2-1 series edge, whoever wins. So that's what's on the line. So that's going to be a really physical and good game. So those are the 2 games from earlier tonight. Nice bounce back from Detroit. Nice performance from Cade with his back up against the wall. Potentially devastating injury here for Jalen Williams. As the injury bug biting everybody in the postseason right now. Just got Victor Wembanyama yesterday. Bad news is for San Antonio, they might not be able to win that series without Wemby. I still think they will, even if Wemby doesn't play another game, but they might not win that series against Portland without Wemby. Oklahoma City does not need Jalen Williams to win their series against Phoenix. They might not even need SGA to win their series against Phoenix. That's how good A.J. Mitchell is. I voted A.J. Mitchell 3rd for 6th man of the year earlier today. It came out that Keldon Johnson won. Jaime Jaquez was 2nd. I voted for A.J. Mitchell because he's great. So anyway, the game's not fantastic today. Tomorrow, hopefully that changes. 3 games tomorrow. We'll preview those very quickly before we get off and we allow everybody to go to bed. It's the Cavaliers-Raptors, which to me is not interesting. Cleveland's up 2-0. Cleveland's by far the better team. The Raptors, I think, are the worst team in the Eastern Conference postseason, so Cleveland got lucky with that draw. The only thing of note there is, can Toronto steal one game when they're at home in Toronto? That's one of the best fan bases in the sport. Maybe they can. And then what does Brandon Ingram do after just 2 back-to-back games of just being utterly useless? 5 of 9 in game 1, 1 shot in the second half, complains about the coach, the role that he's given, and then he bounces back with 7 points on 3 of 15. That's the only intrigue there. The 2 games that we're looking forward to maybe more than any first-round game thus far, because I still don't think the Celtic fan going in 1-1 is nervous going up against Philadelphia. I mean, they prefer to be up 2-0. I don't think they're nervous because I don't think they think Philadelphia can beat them. But I think the Knicks fan has a little bit of nerves going into tomorrow's game because Atlanta might be able to beat them. And the Nugget fan certainly has some nerves because Minnesota definitely can beat them. So I think if you're talking about who's more concerned tomorrow, it's out of those 2 teams, the Knicks and the Nuggets, it's definitely the Nuggets. The Knicks could lose. In fact, I'll say this. The Nuggets are actually favored by Vegas by 2.5 points, even though they're on the road in Minnesota. New York is not favored. New York is a 1.5 underdog as of right now heading into that game tomorrow. And, a couple of things to watch. Is Brunson going to do a better job of involving everybody in the offense? He said he needed to do that after the last game, which, again, has been an issue, I think, all season long. But Karl-Anthony Towns only takes 12 shots, only took 13 in game 1. So is Towns going to be more active? Is Brunson going to force feed him a little bit more? Will Brunson be able to stop CJ McCollum? Because CJ was awesome last game with the 32 points, bunch of clutch shots. One of the reasons he was awesome is he was attacking Brunson, and Brunson was doing nothing about it. So those are the things to keep your eye on there. The defensive Jalen Brunson, and then does Brunson involve his teammates? That's what I'm looking for down in Atlanta. And then, with Denver, basically it's Jokic against Gobert. It's one of the great offensive players of all time in Jokic. And that's what he is. He is one of the great offensive players in the history of the sport. I think you can make the argument he is the best. Going up against Rudy Gobert, who's one of the great defenders in the history of the sport. He's got 4 Defensive Player of the Year awards. That's a record. He holds that with Ben Wallace and Dikembe Mutombo. So he's one of the great defenders of all time. He's won it 4 times. I've actually voted for him 5 times. Even though I'm a huge Jokic fan, he's my favorite player in the sport, I was happy to see Gobert get some positive attention the other day because I love Gobert defensively. I think he gets an unfair rap, and he was fantastic against Jokic last game. And it's not the first time he's been fantastic against Jokic. He outplayed Jokic in Game 7, 2024, on the road in Denver. That's what helped Minnesota get that upset victory, come back from 20 points down. And then he just completely stymied Jokic last game. I mean, Jokic was brilliant for 1 quarter. It was the 1 quarter Rudy Gobert had to spend on the bench because of foul trouble. Jokic had 16 points. But when he shared the floor with Rudy Gobert, Jokic, last game, Jokic had 4 points, I should say, on 1 of 8 from the field. And then in the fourth quarter, he had just 2 points on 1 of 7 from the field. So Rudy Gobert did a number on him. And Jokic's going to be under a lot of pressure if they fall behind 2-1. He's under pressure going to that game tomorrow. Because like I've said all season long, Jokic does not have, the supporting cast has been better this year, mostly because Jamal Murray has been in great shape. So Jokic has an excuse to lose to OKC. Jokic has an excuse to lose to San Antonio. Jokic doesn't have an excuse to lose to Minnesota. So they lose that game tomorrow night. They lose this series. Jokic's going to catch some hell. Even though I love the guy, and I think he's one of the 10 best players of all time. And, I respect him for not jumping from team to team. You cannot lose to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Even though the Minnesota Timberwolves are a worthy opponent, you cannot lose to them tomorrow night. So Knicks under a ton of pressure, Denver under a ton of pressure. I think the Nuggets are a better team than the Knicks, but I think Minnesota is a more difficult opponent than Atlanta. So if I had to pick one that's going to lose tomorrow, I would say the Nuggets are more likely to lose than the Knicks. All right, so I appreciate you guys for stopping by. Thank you for all the comments. I will go back and read. And I will say this. It was not a bad turnout for you guys. We'll see how many people watch this tomorrow, but, not as big of a turnout doing this as last night, and you wouldn't expect that. Last night we had a couple of great games. Plus, you had to cap it off. You had the Lakers and Rockets. You had Durant going up against LeBron, and the other 2 games were awesome. So appreciate everybody for stopping by. We will do this again tomorrow night after the Nuggets and the Timberwolves. The Knicks and the Hawks. We'll also talk about the Cavaliers and the Raptors. Appreciate you stopping by. Appreciate Deepak for hooking me up with the suits, sponsoring the program. Thank you for everybody for leaving the comments here as well. If I get better at this, I'll be able to respond as well. I just don't want to read this stuff as I'm talking, because that'll probably sound very stupid. And now Zuzu here is starting to get a little bit riled up. She's not used to being up this late. So thanks for recapping these last 2 games. Hopefully we'll get an update on Jalen Williams' hamstring by the time we hit the show tomorrow, 4 to 7 Eastern time. Deepak at DCLA. Visit him online at Buy DCLA. If you're looking for a nice tailor, some awesome suits, tell him Termini sent you, and I'm sure he'll hook you up. So thanks for recapping everything that took place tonight. And looking forward to everything that's happening tomorrow night with the 3 games we have. We will talk to you then. Enjoy your evenings and have a good sleep. Later.